I know that hopping in a US visa interview can be nerve-wracking. That's why I am here to deliver all the possible questions and how you can answer it this 2020. Amigos, welcome back to my channel, the #1 place for J1 visa and American culture. If you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell so you'll always be notified whenever we upload new jam-packed videos. And without further ado, let's now jump into the video. So in today's video, we're gonna be talking all the possible questions that the console can ask you this year, this 2020. And not only that, I'm gonna be giving you tips and tricks on how to properly answer to the console. But before we jump into the video, we have an important shout out to do. Now, if you're wondering how you can be featured on the next video, all you have to do is leave the comment in this video or share this video in your Instagram story, but don't forget to tag me at rioworldwide.co and you can have a chance to get featured on the next video. So without further ado, let's now jump into the video. Alright, so there's a lot of possible questions that the console can ask you, but we can start with all the basic questions. So the console can ask you your name, your birthday, your date of graduation, and what did you major in college. So these first 4 questions are too personal and of course it's too easy, but I'm telling you, there are still some people that get it wrong. I don't know how they get it wrong, maybe they're too nervous, but this is something that you need to be aware of. So the next one is, who is your host company, what is your job position, how much is your salary, and when is your start or end date. So these 4 questions can be found in your training plan. So for the next question, it can be, who is your general manager or who is your visa sponsor? Remember that your visa sponsor, your host company, and your agency are all different. You can find all of this information in your training plan. By the way guys, if you need subtitles to better understand this video, you can just turn it on by clicking the settings in your phone or in your laptop and the subtitles will appear here. Next possible questions are, have you been to the United States or do you have any relatives in the United States? How long are you going to be in the United States? So these are very personal, like for example, do you have any relatives in the US? You can just say yes or no. Remember, it doesn't affect your interview, but it will only affect if you lie to them. So if you have relatives, tell them. If you don't have any, then say no. Remember that these are just basic questions and all you have to do is be honest with your answer. For our next basic question, sometimes they will ask you, in case of emergency, what number do you call? Of course, 911. Don't forget about that. Okay, so for the last question under the basic category, the console can ask you, tell me about your job experience or your past work experience. In this type of question, because it can be tricky, I highly suggest to just mention your last 2 job experience. You don't have to mention everything because the console might think that you already know really everything. So why do you have to go to the US and get your training? So always be careful on answering those kind of like tricky questions. So now let's move on to our next category, which is the complex questions. So first on the list is, what will you do during your training in the United States? So in this question, I highly suggest for you to be very specific. You can mention different phases and departments in your training plan. Also, to make your answer even stronger, mention a specific training or activities that you are really most interested to. So if ever that this question will be asked, I highly suggest that do not say, I will be working at Marriott Company or I will be working at Hilton Company, because remember that you are not here for work, you are here for training. So never mention the word work. So I combined the question number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 because they kind of correlate to each other. And this is how I will answer them. First, explain how the training can provide you with new professional skills. So make sure that those skills can be found in your training plan. You can also mention different methods of service, leaderships, or skills that you want to learn or you want to gain in the United States that you cannot have in your home country. You can also answer this by picking 2 trainings or activities that you are really most interested in your training plan and describe why you look forward to acquire these skills. So these 3 questions can be too personal because we all have different dreams and goals in life. We all have different timelines and we all have different ways on how we want to do it. So if the consul asks one of these questions, I would highly suggest to give him the picture of your goals. I'm not saying to bring a literal picture of your goals, but what I'm trying to say here is that give the consul a walkthrough of your vision. What are your plans after you return in your home country? And to make your answers stronger, mention about the skills that you will gain in the United States and how it will help you in your future career in your home country. For example, I look forward to blank, mention the skills that you want to learn, and then followed it with to help me blank, mention your goals. For example, do you want to open your own restaurant? Or do you want to help your family with your business? Or do you want to be the manager or the next supervisor in your hotel? And I will end it by putting place in the sentence. Like for example, in Makati, in Indonesia, wherever your home country, write a city or like a specific place. Where do you want to put your goals or your restaurant, or what hotel are you looking to forward to apply in the future, so they know that you are very specific and you already have a goal of like, hey, I want to be the best manager in Hilton Resort in Manila. I believe in doing this, it can help you to be more specific with your answer and also to give the consul a clear vision of your goals. If you give the consul a very specific answer, it just makes it stronger that, wow, she really have a plan after, her training in the United States, because it is easy to say that, yes, I'm opening a restaurant, or yes, I'm going back to school. It's so easy to say that, but where's your proof? That's not enough to convince the consul. That's why I told you guys to have a very specific answer, because it will really help you to convince the consul that you have an intention to go back to your home country. Okay, so question number 10. This can be a follow-up question when you have a lot of job experience. Like what I've told you guys earlier, it can be a tricky question. That's why when the consul asks you this, you can tell them that it will give you a different perspective, or it will give you a cultural and hands-on experience. Also, you should mention a specific skills that you want to learn during your training in the United States that you can use in your future career. So by this time, you can now see how different this video compared from my last video of question and answer. But I made this video like this because I want you guys to be more authentic with your answer. I just don't want you to be lazy. Like I said from my last video, I don't want to promote any laziness here. That's why I want to give you like the tips and the guides on how you can really answer it, how you can own it, and how you can put your heart into your words, and how you can really be more authentic. Because the key on this 2020 US visa interview is for you to be more authentic. The consul loves when you answer them not only correctly but also very authentic, because they know when it comes from your heart. Then they know if you just copy it from somewhere, or they know if you just memorize someone's answer. That's why I am here to guide you and help you to have a successful visa interview. Okay, so for the next question, the consul can use 10,000 different kinds of words to ask about the training plan, but it's all gonna be the same. So when they ask you about your training plan, the phases and the skills, I highly suggest to answer it like this. So when the consul asks you, tell me about your training plan, you can give them a summary of your training plan. But what I mean by this, you don't have to tell them, or you don't have to memorize everything in your training plan. You can answer this question in 2 to 3 sentences. So when you give them the summary of your training plan, make sure that you mention the different phases in your training plan, the different skills that you will learn in each phase, the duration of each phases, what are you most excited to do in your training plan, and how this training plan can help you in the future. So this question are usually asked for the trainees. So you can answer this by, for example, your last internship, you were in the food and beverage department. And now in your traineeship, you are now in the culinary department. So you can say that it's all different departments, but you just don't want to say that. You need to be more specific. So you can say that before, my internship is focused on blank, for example, services. But now my traineeship is more focused on blank, for example, leadership or management skills, because most of the time, trainees' training plan are most focused on people management, strategic thinking, or planning or overseeing the floor. So just remember those keywords because you can use it when you are constructing your best answer. So this question are mostly asked for the trainees, but they can also ask the interns. So always take note of this question. For example, you can say that you can now communicate better to the guests. Or if you've been to the United States before, you can also mention about your cultural experience. But if all of your work experience are based in your home country, you can just simply mention like the teamwork, the responsibilities, or how you learn about punctuality or time management. And lastly is you can also incorporate the steps of service that you have learned from the past in your internship this 2020. And to give you more security in getting a J1 visa, I highly suggest for you to click the notification bell and click all notifications so you'll be the first one to be notified on my next video, which is all about the things that you should not do and the words that you should not mention during your visa interview. So if you're interested, make sure to subscribe to my channel and click the all notification so you'll be the first one to be notified whenever that video is up. And while waiting for that video, make sure to click these two videos right here. I make a lot of J1 videos that will really help you in your J1 program. So if you're interested, just click these two videos right here. And that's all for today, guys. I really appreciate all of your response in our past video. And if you like this video too, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you have any questions and suggestions, and I'll see you guys on my next one. Thank you so much. Bye for now.